From 88 Films comes 1979's The Kung Fu Instructor. This is a Shaw Brothers martial arts epic that stars, is directed by Sun Chung and stars T. Lung, who I initially knew from the Better Tomorrow movies, Wong Yu, Angie Chu, Dick Wei as a very, very brief appearance, and apparently in there somewhere is Yun Hua. It is a Blu-ray, 104 minutes. The audio is either an English dub or Mandarin with English subtitles. And the opening titles, I'll give you the text stuff too. The opening titles, this happens sometimes with these Shaw Brothers new remasters. I believe they were recreated. Like they go back to the original materials for this. So what would normally be behind the credits or behind the end credits in a movie, they have the original material of that, and then they just, the earth moved when I talked about Shaw Brothers. They have the original of that, and they recreate the titles to look like they did on the original release, but they don't. So I'm of two minds with that. It means that whatever is behind the titles is going to look a lot better than it ever did before, but it also means that it kind of looks a little phony to me when they do that because it's not the original titles, not the optical printing that we're used to seeing and things like that. The transfer, though, does look beautiful. It looks great. It looks sharp. It's colorful. It just looks great. The idea here, I'm not going to tell you the whole story, is that T. Lung is a local martial arts teacher, and this is basically inspired by Yojimbo. He is a Yojimbo, which begat Fistful of Dollars, which begat the Kung Fu Instructor in 1979. T. Lung lives in this town where there's a line drawn down the middle, and there's two clans, and if you cross the line, you're in trouble. One clan is bad guys, and one clan is good guys, and the bad guys muscle in on Lung's martial arts school. He's a pole fighter. His big thing is a staff, and they muscle in and they're like, you need to teach us your style. You need to teach us that Kung Fu. And he doesn't want to do it because he knows if he does, they may have the upper hand to take over the good side of the town. And he wants to keep balance at best. So he basically says, nah, I don't think I want to do that. So then they frame him for a murder. And he's like, I think I might leave town now. So he goes off on the run where people are trying to get him. And the bad guys are after him and they still want to capture him and learn his style. He eventually trains a student in the ways of the Shaolin pole, which sounds like it could be dirty, but it's not in the case of this movie. And they become two who can now take on the bad guys. And I won't tell you where it goes from there. You can probably guess, but I won't tell you where it goes from there. So there's great fu. There's a lot of pole action in this film. There's T. Lung is just badass in this movie. A lot of training sequences, which are always great in these Hong Kong martial arts films. And just a lot of really creative stuff. Like there's a moment where Lung comes back to this, I don't remember if it was his school or an area, and they're like, oh, just walk over there and get from point A to point B. And there's this weird stack of like the old martial arts style Hong Kong benches or stools where it's a long board and then two kind of legs on either side, and they're all stacked up in this weird way, and he basically maneuvers himself across those by walking on them and never falling and never losing his balance, and it's really impressive to watch. That's just one tiny nugget of the cool stuff that's in this movie. Overall, I didn't love it. It was certainly a good martial arts and kung fu film, but it felt maybe a little long to me for what it was doing. But if you like classic martial arts and Shaw Brothers, it's really good. If you like T. Lung, he's really good. If you only know him from the Better Tomorrow movies, you need to see him doing this other stuff, a decade earlier, or a little less than a decade earlier, because the guy was amazing. There is one odd note. At the very end, there's a wide shot where everything that's going to happen has happened, and a bunch of other people come into the shot, and the camera's pretty far back. And then like an official or an authority figure comes in, and you see him standing there, and his mouth is moving, and he's wagging a finger at people, and the shot just holds, and there's music. And I'm like, I watched the English dub for this, and I'm like, maybe they didn't dub that into English for some reason. Maybe it's a mistake. And I clicked over and rewatched it on the Mandarin or the Chinese track, and I put on the subtitles, and it's like, nope, nobody says anything. And it was really weird because it holds like you're hearing some official yell at somebody from a distance, and it was weird. It was just a little weird. I don't know if that was a mistake or if it's always been that way. The titles eventually do come up. Maybe that was there for a title to come up earlier and they didn't recreate it. I don't know. But that was a minor quibble. It was just a little, I had to watch it twice because I'm like, that just doesn't quite feel right. Not a lot of extras on this. The extras are a trailer that's a minute and a half. It's a 4x3 letterboxed DVD era trailer, and those I don't really care about because they're not originals. I don't have a nostalgia for the DVD era when these things got reissued, so I usually don't pay attention to those. And still a cool still gallery that's 2 minutes and it's set to the score. Packaging goes a little something like this. You get the slipcase with a fun little artistic cover, and it slips off to reveal, hey, the exact same thing. And you crack it open, And we get that cool artwork from the cover on the disc. We get the original Hong Kong poster. And a thing that Eureka does, which is really cool, we get little art cards, which are recreations of posters or lobby cards from when the film was originally released. And I'm not going to open it up and show you all of them, but believe me that there are, I think, 4 of these here. So available now on Blu-ray from Eureka Entertainment is T. Lung in The Kung Fu Instructor.